14 after 9 o'clock. Welcome back. News and views on Salam Media. And inshallah, standing by to talk with us now is Abdul Aleem Gamza. He is head of fund development, Islamic Relief South Africa. And we are going to be talking about the absolutely crazy situation, the sad and devastating situation in Gaza. Brother Abdul Aleem Gamza, assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the program.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh to yourself, Sister Julie, as well as the listeners of Salam Media. It's always a pleasure to be on radio with yourself.
Are you talking to me from South Africa or are you in the Middle East? Because I do know that you travel around extensively to disaster areas.
We are in South Africa. I'm in Durban at the moment. I speak to you from Durban.
Okay. Any plans of going sometime soon, inshallah, when things hopefully eases up a bit in Palestine? Is Islamic Relief South Africa planning on making a presence there? Apart from, we do know you're on a huge fundraising effort to get much needed supplies over to our brothers and sisters in Palestine.
I think it's every believer's dua and wish to go over and assist as far as he possibly can in whichever way possible with humanitarian aid to make sure that we try and assist and save the lives of our brothers and sisters in Palestine. So as soon as the opportunities does arise, inshallah, I'm sure many people will go and try and assist whatever is possible.
Now, we do know that you have your partners working on the ground there, Palestinian people that live in the country, obviously, because that's one of the ways you are able to get your aid to the neediest of the needy. And that they do the vetting, in the correct way. But the current situation is not normal at all. It is totally abnormal. Everybody in Gaza, each and every person, whether you were a prince or a pauper prior to this genocide, everybody is in the same situation. Can you confirm that that is in fact the current situation on the ground in Gaza?
I just wanted to correct you, Julie, that we have partners that we work with in Gaza, but Islamic Relief has been working on the ground. We have offices, we have staff, on the ground since 1997. So we've been working in Gaza for the last 26 years as a humanitarian organization, helping the Palestinian brothers and sisters with whether it be water systems that we've put in place, schools that we've put in place. We've assisted on the medical side in terms of looking after the medical staff in Gaza. So we've been there for 26 years. And it's important to note that we just lost one of our staff members was killed in an attack a couple of days ago. So subhanAllah, Islamic Relief, we've been on the ground for the past 26 years, alhamdulillah.
Subhanallah. The staff member that you're talking about, was that a South African or a Palestinian?
No, that's a Palestinian staff member. I think it's also further important to note that we are unable to get, obviously, other individuals from other countries to get into those areas right now. It is a local, that is just the mechanism with which Islamic Relief we structure ourselves is that even in South Africa, we have South African people employed at Islamic Relief. So the same principle applies when we employ people in Palestine, but it would be the people and the locals that from that particular area, because they understand the language, they understand the culture, they understand the demographic. It just makes life a lot easier in terms of fulfilling and completing the projects that we want to complete, inshallah.
Absolutely, makes perfectly good sense, and that is the right way to go because all aid agencies do actually operate in this manner, and it's the right plan of action. The current situation on the ground in Gaza, what sort of reports have you been getting from your people in Gaza? Is this the worst they've ever seen?
This is the worst that they've ever seen. And alhamdulillah, our staff our staff at the Islamic Relief in Palestine, Gaza, they're able to provide us with a daily update of what is happening in terms of number of people that's been killed, number of people that's been injured, but also with the work that we are able to carry out in this particular area. And I reiterate, this is the worst that they've ever seen. You can well imagine people moving from the north to the south of Gaza, 1.1 million people being displaced in a short space of time, and obviously there's a lot of lives that have been lost. We are looking in the excess of over 6,500 people that have lost their lives, subhanAllah. And I just remember being interviewed just about a week ago, and we were talking about figures and people being killed. It was about 2,500. And within a space of a week, we can see the numbers have increased. And 60%, approximately 60% of those that have been killed are children. So I think it's important that we note what the statistics looks like. Over almost 18,000 people wounded, injured, and some in critical condition. Also to go with that is that we also know that, the fuel supplies in these areas at these hospitals are running out, and many hospitals have had to close because of this. And because they don't have the energy, they don't have the fuel to keep the hospitals going. And so, subhanAllah, without this coming into the area, it leads to a greater catastrophe. And I want to remind our brothers and sisters here in South Africa is that this is not sensationalism in the least. This is the reality of what's happening on the ground. This is probably playing down what's happening on the ground. There's so much more that's taking place. There's so much need that is required on the ground. If you see, families being wiped out in one shot. There's not enough space in the hospital mortuaries for everybody that has been killed, and the bodies have been unidentified. So this is the reality on the ground, and we have to ask ourselves: how do we connect as a ummah here in South Africa? How do we connect with the ummah in Palestine and in Gaza? How do we connect with them? That we are humanitarian, we care about humanity, we care about people. What are we going to do to be responding to this? And for me, it is very critical that we have these critical conversations. And people will say, the footage coming out of these areas may be gruesome, but if you don't want to look at the footage, at least talk about what's happening there. Have a conversation with one another what's happening there, and then we spur one another on how to give. Because my beloved brothers and sisters, if you're listening to this discussion right now this morning, it means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen you to be listening to this. So we know that, He and the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has reminded us that, He is not a believer unless he loves for his brother what he loves for himself. Do we not want goodness for us? Do we not want to be in peace? Do we not want to have something to eat, the nice to eat? Do we want something to drink? Or do we want to be sitting on the streets not knowing where our next meal is coming from? So this is a very sad situation, and if our hearts aren't crying, if we are not crying and shedding tears for our brothers and sisters in Palestine, we have to recheck and relook at ourselves right now and ask ourselves, how do we give? It reminds me of the hadith of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam as well, when he says, when we see an wrong, there's three mechanisms which we can act upon it. We can change it with our hands, we can speak about it, or we can make dua. And making dua is the weakest form of iman. But in this situation, we have an opportunity to do all three, subhanAllah. We can change it with our hands. How do we change it with our hands? We send messages to our friends and our families about the situation in Gaza and ask them to contribute aid and assistance to those most vulnerable people. So now we are using our hands and we're utilizing social media. We are utilizing our smartphones to spread goodness. And in there lies a reward for us, subhanAllah. Then we speak out against what is happening there. We speak out about the plight of our brothers and sisters in Gaza. We speak out about the challenges that they are facing. We speak out about the suffering that they are going through. And so we conscientize and we inform everybody about it. And then every single person, as we are making salah, in every single waqt that we have, we make dua for our brothers and sisters in Palestine. It's very important that we spend this time of thinking about this whilst life is going on here in South Africa, while things seem to be normal. The world is not normal because there's suffering of our brothers and our sisters of this Ummah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And we have to respond. With the time for action is now. And how can we act here in South Africa? By giving of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has entrusted us with, and that is the wealth, subhanAllah.
What are the most pressing humanitarian needs of the people living in the region amidst the ongoing conflict?
Sister Julie, when we look at this week, we can see that off the bat, we'll be able to see that, we need this medical assistance required, medical supplies that is needed inside of this area. Hospitals are oversubscribed. We need to try and assist people so that they can make space for others to come in. And it's really a calamitous situation. We also know there's no clean drinking water. And that also in itself, as we think it's a favor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we have clean drinking water. There are brothers and sisters that don't have access to clean drinking water. And so that is a definite need. And clearly, to have something to eat, something of sustenance. If your houses have been bombed and everything that you have has been taken away, you are dependent on somebody to provide you with a hot meal. Because even if I give you the raw materials to make something, if there's no facilities, no stove, no gas stove, whatever it is, if it's nothing like that, then you can't cook, you can't make anything. So providing of hot meals obviously is a big thing. And clearly, as this taking place, this catastrophe and this attack is taking place, more and more people will be displaced, more and more people will be injured. And as I said, as we can also see that the numbers will increase, not daily, hourly. And subhanAllah, it is really a very challenging situation that we find ourselves in right now.
How is IRSA actively supporting the people of Gaza in their time of need, and how can the local community get involved in supporting the people of Gaza?
As I mentioned in the opening, is that we have staff in Gaza that are employed by Islamic Relief. We've been able, over time, to secure, we have a warehouse with medical supplies, and we've been able to assist the hospitals and supply them with that. We have, procured from local suppliers in the areas inside of Gaza to make sure that we are providing hot meals, that we are providing, perhaps there are some people who can cook, and we're providing them with food hampers. And this is ongoing and on a daily basis, so that these efforts are being made. And I think just as a moment to pause is that, for us at Islamic Relief, our heart goes out to every single Palestinian, every single person in Gaza that's going through this challenge at the moment. Also our staff of Islamic Relief, who are not only trying to safeguard their families, but they're also trying to safeguard those that, the rest of the Palestinian people, wherever they can assist. And so it's a dual function that they are fulfilling right now. How do we assist here in South Africa? We assist Islamic Relief via the efforts that we are doing. We have pop-ups, we have markets. We will be at various places around the country, and maybe perhaps go to social media and familiarize yourself. If you're in Durban, we'll be in Sparks Road this coming weekend. And if you're in Cape Town, we'll be at certain venues. So make sure that you know exactly where we will be and what we will be doing, and make your contribution. I mean, the other thing is alternatively, I don't want to go to any of these things. I just want to give my money. Bismillah. You can go on to our website, which is www.islamic-relief.org.za, and you make your contribution. And you can see also the work that Islamic Relief has done in Gaza and is continuing to do in Gaza based on the current climate and the current situation that we find ourselves in. But action we have to do, donations we have to do, whether it be a 10 rand, that's within your scope, or whether you are able to give 100,000 rand or 10,000 and whatever it is, bismillah, make those contributions. Let us not, I'm reminded of an ayah in the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to us, كُلٌّ نَفْسٍ ذَائِقَةُ الْمَوْتِ, and every soul shall taste death. So whether it is now in this hour, whether it's the next hour, whether it's tomorrow, but we are all going to face that. And how better to do that, face that when we have given something in charity, when we've done some good deeds, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will multiply that onto our scale of good deeds. So when we stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we'll be rewarded abundantly, more than we can imagine. This is what we need, the mindset that we need to think. Our mindset must be in the akhirah. How do we invest in our akhirah? Here's an opportunity that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving us. We may say the people of Palestine and Gaza are facing so many challenges but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, my beloved brother and sister, is testing you and me to see how we will respond to this call and this cry of our brothers and sisters in Palestine.
Abdul Alim, I was just thinking as you were speaking, I also saw the post of an event that is being promoted by IRSA in the Western Cape this weekend. You indicated something's happening in Durban as well. And we do know that women's groups all over the country have all sorts of pop ups, cake sales, all sorts of different sales. And those monies then come to IRSA. And then you manage it to the best of your ability, and it goes to the neediest of the needy. And, there was a time I used to kind of question, what is a couple of pop ups? What difference is it going to make? And I want you to respond to that. But for me, I answered my own question in this manner. And I said, even if that pop up, makes maybe 5,000 or 10,000 Rand for the day, the fact that they are putting uh, they're running the pop up for the day, just the message that they're getting out to the broader community, saying that this is what is happening in Palestine or whichever disaster area you are busy involved in trying to fundraise for. It comes immediately. It brings people to the realization that I'm living a good, comfy life. Alhamdulillah, I'm safe where I am. But look at the situation in Palestine, in Afghanistan, in wherever there's a disaster. But in this case, we are talking Palestine, and it definitely is a catastrophe that's happening there right now. So those little pop-ups that happen all around are so very important because they are reachable. They're in your space, they're in your face, and you can't ignore it. You will go there and you will be doing something positive. Your thoughts?
Sister Julie, you hit the nail on the head. If I raise 10 Rand at a pop-up, alhamdulillah, that's what we've raised. But it goes greater and so it's far beyond the money that is raised on that particular day. It goes about the awareness. It goes about the work that is being done. And, sometimes people will see this. They'll come to the pop-up, they'll go home and they'll have a discussion about it. And then they will make a contribution. So
Mm,
many times it is not on the day that people make those contributions. Alhamdulillah, we're grateful for that. And we say people must continue giving. But also on an afterwards basis, people want to make mashura at home. They want to have a discussion at home. And then they'll decide, okay, of my zakat, of my lila, of my sadaqah, this is the amount that I would like to give. As a family, we've made a decision. So we're very aware of that and the impact of that. Sincerely, if you just allow me another
sure.
minute, inshallah,
Okay.
is that I want to appeal to the business owners, and the masajid around the country. It is important that we realize that sometimes and many times we can say that all of my profits for this week or this month or whatever for the next 2 weeks, I'm giving 10%. I'm going to give that to Islamic Relief as a business. And Bismillah, you make that contribution. And we start directing, obviously, you make that known to us, and we make it public on our platforms as well, so we can also make sure that there's also reciprocation from our side. And I think that's the way we need to start looking at things. Is to say that we're going to be giving from our business, and the masajid. You make a collection on a Friday, and you may say, this weekend, because it's month-end Friday, coming Friday, this collection this Friday, we will give to Islamic Relief. And you make contact with us at our various offices, and you make those contributions. You make the announcement in the masjid that the money that we collect today will go to our brothers and sisters in Gaza and in Palestine, and we're going to be giving it to Islamic Relief, alhamdulillah. And so we get the community involved, we make the community aware, and also I'm saying to the community, ask the right questions, and about the work that is done. Ask the right question to make sure that you are informed how money is being spent, where it's being spent, and I think those are very critical and important questions that we need to ask. But for me, it is when you get the answers, make sure that you are giving, inshallah ta'ala. And as I said, go onto our websites. We have all the information readily available. You can give us a call on our toll-free number, which is 0800 111 898, and you can speak to anybody in our fundraising department, myself or anybody, and we'll be able to furnish you with further information, inshallah. Whether you sit in Cape Town, Durban, or in Johannesburg, is irrespective.
Abdul Aleem Gamza, Head of Department Fund Development at IRSA. Shukran very much for being with us on the show this morning. And as always, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you and everyone at IRSA. Allah accept all of your efforts, and Allah be with one and all always. And Allah accepts our du'as for easing the plight of our brothers and sisters in Palestine, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
inshallah.
9:34 news and views on Salam Media. Next, we are going to be talking to Dr. Vuzi Sibanda, chairperson of the African Diaspora Forum. And we are going to be talking about the outcry over the expired goods at spaza shops in the townships and I guess all around the city. So please do stay with us.